Hello and welcome to another Maine SBDC webinar. My name is Kelsey Reardon and I'm with the Maine SBDC State Office hosted by USM. And today we are joined by Terri Swanson, and we're essentially doing part 2 of an ongoing HR series. And so today we're doing onboarding and focusing on what's important to people as they join a new business. We have some familiar faces, so welcome back. If you joined us for the first session, we had a really great group and it was really engaging, and we had a lot of suggestions and questions coming in from the audience about really focused topics. So we'll have the same format today. So think up your onboarding questions now, get ready, and then we'll take examples and volunteers in a little while. You can also introduce yourself in the chat below. So let us know who you are, maybe what part of the state you're in and what industry you're in. If you have a question, go ahead and plug it in there now, just so we don't lose it or forget it. I will be sending out a follow-up email later today that will include the recording of today's session. So if you just want to join in and then circle back to the recording to take some notes later, you have that option. If you are not familiar with the Maine SBDC, we are the Small Business Development Centers, and we are a federally funded program. So every state has their centers, and then there are centers throughout the state, and then there are business advisors in each center. And we provide no cost confidential business advising. So we can offer location-specific help, industry-specific help. Most of our business advisors were business owners as well, so they have some really great experience. Some of them had rough experiences, and that's why they're helping businesses now avoid those things. So they can help with just about anything. If they can't, we can help find the person that can. We can't provide legal or accounting information, but we do have a few specialists on board right now. So we do have an accounting specialist and several marketing specialists that are available to our clients if you're set up with a business advisor. So my follow-up email will include all of our contact information, as well as a link just to sign up for advising. So if you're not already set up, I will send all of that out later. I believe that covers about everything that I was thinking. So we can get started, and I will pass it over to Terri.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And as Kelsey mentioned, it's so wonderful. Amanda, I'm so happy to see you here again this morning. And anyone else that joined us from last week, last week's session, I guess it was last week. I really appreciate it very much. I feel like we had some really good conversation and good dialogue last week on the whole recruiting topic, which is most definitely up on the list of most every business that is employing people. It's a challenge that we all continue to face, but I really feel like we came up with some good out of the box ideas last week that hopefully were very useful and helpful to those of you that were here. And for those of you that were not, as Kelsey mentioned, these are recorded. So I'm sure that you could probably go back into our time together and listen to that if you're looking for some recruitment tips. And so for those of you who are joining us this week, my name again is Terri Swanson, and I'm a human resource consultant. My entire background since the age of 14 has been working and serving people. People are my passion. I love all natures of people. Doesn't matter, even those grumpy, crusty people that, just try to make us, give us those challenges. I genuinely appreciate them, and I always enjoy people of all ages and cultures and everything. It's just wonderful working with people, and it is definitely my calling. And so I live in Trenton, Maine, and that is just before Mount Desert Island. Been living there for, oh my goodness, 30 years. And so I'm born and raised in Maine, absolutely love it. And I too am a solopreneur. So I work for myself and have for about 4 years. Last week I started the session with something that I love to do, especially when we do these live webinars, to where there's no PowerPoint presentation. We're just going to have great conversation today. And the style of this forum is just very interactive. We're asking questions that we have, and we're contributing to the conversation with ideas and thoughts that anyone on the call today might have. And so last week I started with Stephen Covey's second habit in highly effective people. And that is to begin with the end in mind. And so my question to anyone here today is, when we wrap this webinar up at 11 o'clock, what question might you have come with today, or what thought or idea might you have come with today that you would like to go away from this webinar having answered? I'm just going to ask any of you, might that be something that you came today with, hoping to get an answer to something that could be useful and helpful in your business, recruiting, onboarding, or what have you? Because I don't want you to walk away today not having had that question or thought or idea answered. And don't be shy.
And feel free to unmute yourself.
Lisa, Christina, Sarah, any of you, Jen, if you have a question or you have a something that you'd like to walk away with today.
Hey, Terry, this is Michael Green,
Hi, Michael.
Genotyping Center of America. We're in Waterville.
Oh, cool.
Hey, we've got a new hire. We're a small business, so there's 9 of us. We just hired our first salesperson. She's somebody who has years of experience and who I know well from prior working together prior. Question I have is as we bring her in, she's our first salesperson, so we need to bring her up to speed with our service and whoever everyone else is on the team. I'm just trying to make sure that the onboarding is as comprehensive as I can make it. And we haven't really gone through an official onboarding of an employee. It's all been pretty, fly by the seat of your pants. So I'm just trying to make sure I have it kind of buttoned up this time through.
Yeah. And Michael, that is an awesome question. And I'm so I could high five you right now, because that's even on the forefront of your mind, says that you are absolutely doing the right thing and your mind is exactly where it needs to be in today's world. And that is making sure that these new people that we're bringing into our companies and organizations has a wonderful experience coming into our organizations or our companies. And today I'm going to share, it's called the 5 C's of successful maximizing successful onboarding. And so I think these 5 C's are definitely, if you follow them, I promise you that this person is going to have a good experience coming into your company and your organization. I'll also just quickly say that, and I didn't have this in my notes, but I'm so glad you mentioned it, because one of the things that we did, we learned the value of check-ins. And so when we would hire a new employee or employees, we would have scheduled right in the beginning of their entrance, like if they started on a Monday, our first check-in with that employee was on Friday. And by that check-in, I mean, it's a sit-down conversation with a cup of coffee that says, hey, Stacy, how's your first week been? And Michael, that might be by you as the leader. Stacy, what's gone well this week? What are some things that maybe we could be doing better? We want to make sure that moving forward in our company, that we just make sure everybody has a great experience, coming into our company. It's really important to us. And you being a new person, your ideas and your fresh eyes really, we're so open to the feedback. So, can you share anything that we could be doing better? Okay, right out of the gate, you've brought this employee's level of importance to a new height because you're using, their perspective. They're the one experiencing this. Maybe she might say, like, this is really interesting. We learned in doing this a very important thing that we had forgotten in the onboarding, and that is telling a new hire where to park. Okay, you would not believe this. It is such a big deal. And it's also a big deal to me. When I go to a new client, I'm like worried about like, okay, where am I supposed to park? Because if it's raining and I gotta walk 20 minutes to get to the client, or, I don't want to look like, someone who parks right up front and takes the spots that customers should be taking. So that's just one little thing that we don't sometimes think about on the inside because we just know where to park. So, something so small, we learned that from our check-ins. And so, I would advise you all, when you bring in a new employee, do a check-in that first week. Obviously, if they come in on Wednesday, maybe you might wait until Monday or what have you, or if they come in on Thursday, you might schedule it for the following Wednesday. But I have to tell you, I would not let a lot of time go by because we lose people quickly because of the things that we forget to do, or we just, they don't feel connected. And then, so I would also schedule in 2 weeks, I would say to that person that morning, Stacy, check-ins are very important to us. Your success here is very important to us. And so we're going to check in with you again in a couple of weeks and do the same thing. And, we really would appreciate it if there's, anything that you can bring to our attention. And certainly if we're doing things really well, we like to know about that too, because it involves more, a lot of people, and we want to continue doing what you think we're doing well. And then, it's just a very good, check-ins are so unbelievably important. So Michael, I think you'll get more out of it than this, but I would definitely be sitting down with this new person as soon as possible and asking those 2 questions. What's going well? And then, what are some of, and is there anything we could be doing better? And then, certainly keep that, communication open in the way of feedback, because feedback is really, it's the breakfast of champions, according to my wonderful reader, Ken Blanchard. Other questions?
We got a couple in the chat. So we have Elizabeth is getting ready to hire their first employee and would be interested to know what are the things to consider and how best to onboard someone. Okay. This is someone who is currently working as an intern, so they're hoping to transition them from an intern to an employee. Nice. Then we have Marcy, who owns a country store and has just hired her first 2 employees, but feels like the onboarding process has been sketchy and is remembering things that she'd like to share, but it feels chaotic and she doesn't want that to, she doesn't want them to feel the same. So they like to get from the session some suggestions for how to organize and go through the process. Yeah. And then lastly, we have Jen, who is onboarding many employees throughout the year at different locations and wants to make sure it's comprehensive, but is not just like a read this PowerPoint to everyone.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So, and this is great. Oh my gosh, these questions get me so excited because there is just, I was actually not going to say this, but I'm going to say it because I'm an analogy visual person. But I said to Kelsey earlier, Kelsey, in my experience, onboarding to me is like the middle of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Recruiting is one slice of bread. Onboarding is the peanut butter and jelly, and then the performing of the work is the other side of the sandwich. And so the yummy stuff is in the middle, and that's the onboarding of new employees. it's so unbelievably important, because it is definitely, and we experienced this in my role as the HR director of a hotel company. We would onboard 500 people between April 1st and June 15th. And we did this year after year after year. For 8 years, we did this. And so we really worked hard to get this and get it right. And so it was really awesome when it worked well. So my answer to you is, what I'm going to do the chat about the 5 C's. We need to be organized, but we also need to keep it simple, because reality is everyone on this call today, I'm sure, has these 2 things in the work every day. And so you don't have the luxury of just being the person that goes around doing, all of this fun stuff. And so you got to keep it manageable, doable, and but yet effective. And so I think that when I talk about these 5 C's, you will be able to, work this well. I actually will send, Kelsey, can I send you 2 handouts after this presentation, and then you can forward each of these folks these 2 handouts, because these will be helpful and useful, and then you won't even have to make up a sheet for the 5 C's, because I already got it made up. And
yeah, and I'll send that to everyone. So
okay.
If you'll send that to me, I'll include it in my follow-up email, so everyone will get all.
Yeah. I should have done that in the beginning, but that's okay. We'll make it happen. So, and again, great questions. And I think you're all going to go home with some good stuff on this. So, I just like to say that this onboarding conversation today is really a continuation of the recruitment conversation that we had last week. And, when we think about going to Disney, I'm not sure who here has been to Disney before, but Disney makes it happen. They know how to wow us. They know how to impress us. And they start this experience that they build upon from the moment that we arrive in this big, huge, ginormous parking lot, because the 4 or 5 times I've been, we've always decided which character we want to park under. And it's usually our favorite character. And so that they even have signs with characters that we get to pick and choose is always a fun thing, unless, of course, someone's directing us, and then we just decide we like the character we're under, and then we get all of our goods and we get to get on this fun tram that's got music playing with everybody else, and it's exciting and everybody's looking forward, and we don't have to carry all of our goods and wares because they've already thought of this. We get there, we get up to the front gate, and all of a sudden, there's the characters, and, everybody can't wait to get inside, and we're all just very excited. And that's the experience that we're starting to have. And that's the type of experience that we want to think about. Just going to use, who had the convenience store?
I believe that is Elizabeth. No,
Liz?
it's Marcy. It's
okay, Marcy. Thanks, Marcy. And so, Marcy, if I were to be onboarding people at a convenience store, I would just be making sure. So first of all, when I hired them, I would make sure and send them an email, or I would get a card, a handwritten note card that says, hey, Stacy, Mike's Country Store is so excited to have you joining our team. We have you, starting with us next Thursday. Can't wait to have you, join us. And then sign your name. We get away from doing the little things that a handwritten note, an email. It's really important to stay connected to a new hire, especially before they start, because I can assure you that they've interviewed at 7 or 8 or 10 other places. So you're not the only offer they have, but you could be the only one who's giving them an experience that says, we are really interested in you and we can't wait to see you. And, if you're, a place that, can send something in the mail, like, I don't even know what it is, something small with your name on it. Or, what one person did, which I thought was really cool. They sent them a name tag. And I thought it was cool, just as, it was, you could actually just throw it away, but it was a little name tag and they hand wrote their name on it. And it just in the mail. Because other people are also, look, they're really working hard to get people, and they might offer this person another $1 an hour. Geez, I have to say, I'm really loving how these people are treating me. And this is the kind of culture I really want to work in. And oh my gosh, wow, can you believe it? I got something in the mail. And if you don't get something in the mail, at the very least, when I hire you, within 12 to 24 hours, you're going to get a nice email from me that says, hey, Stacy, what a pleasure it was to meet you. You are going to make a great fit on our team. I loved your smile, just something that you can connect with that person. Because oftentimes it could be 2 weeks, because, some people will give a 2-week notice before they come to work for you. Well, remember, in those 2 weeks, you have many opportunities. Don't do the overkill, because that might make them seem like we're a little needy. But find what works for you and engage with that employee before they start, because that sets the stage for the performance that you want. And so to me, that was a really big deal for us, especially when other people are, trying to get them to come to work for them. We want to be the place of choice because of the experience that we're giving to people before they even, join us. So, keep that in mind, that it's really important. We called it the hook. Okay, we referred to it as, every single person is going to get hooked a couple times by us before they start. And, each year we would think about what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? And it was a little bit different. We were hiring, a lot of people in the hospitality industry and what have you. But interestingly enough, we hired a lot of foreign workers. We worked with H-2Bs, we worked with J-1s, we worked with interns. So we were hiring people from a lot of different countries. And guess what? We got so many returning employees year after year after year. And you know why? Because they loved the people they worked with. And we made them feel just a part of our family. We made them feel part of our culture. We used to even celebrate Jamaican Independence Day, which was like August 5th. And we would have this big company-wide cookout. And we would do all this Jamaican food. Everybody just loved it. They thought it was great. We did a Filipino night. We did nights where we just honored our teammates and our family members, and we just had a great time. So it's really important. The small things you do really add up. Anyway, so moving on to the 5 C's of onboarding. The very first C that is important for all of us is compliance. When we are hiring people, new people, we really need to make sure that we've dotted the I's and crossed the T's in the way of compliancy. I just was recently working with a client, and they had a gal in the front office leave and a new gal come in. And the new gal asked me, Terri, are we supposed to do I-9s? And I go, oh gosh, yes, of course. And she's like, I don't know if we've been doing them. And there's no fault. I mean, yes, you need to do them. But you know what? You don't know what you don't know. And I'm one of those types of people that say this. Listen, I don't know about engineering. I do know about people, but I'm willing to learn. And if there's something I need to know about engineering, then I'm willing to learn it. But reality is we really don't know what we don't know. And so, our job applications, every new employee should fill out a job application, for their personnel file. The I-9s, it's very important. What we did was we would have a new hire packet already. So that's part of our organization being organized. If you have job descriptions are very important in the way of compliancy. Any employee gets injured, one of the first things workers' comp is going to want from you is a job description, because how would they know that if this person knew this was part of what they're supposed to be doing? How would a person know if these were the physical demands that were made, regarding that? And so an employee handbook, and again, I recognize that many of us are small businesses. Many of us are, hiring our first 1, 2, 3 employees. Don't be alarmed if you don't have an employee handbook. Don't be alarmed. That can be something, that can be a goal that maybe you have for, the end of the season or what have you, but just be mindful. It's not against the law to not have an employee handbook. It's not against the law to not have a job description, but it's really good practice. The expectations that you have of me would be detailed in that job description, so that if I'm not, performing what you're expecting of me, maybe I didn't know what was expected of me. I just thought I was supposed to come in here and work the front register at this convenience store. I mean, you didn't tell me I'm supposed to stock shelves, and you didn't tell me I'm supposed to receive vendors, and you didn't tell me I was supposed to, help the person in the kitchen make sandwiches when, all of these things, like I didn't know that, and so a job description helps to identify the duties and responsibilities that we have. Something very new, my mentor is a 30-year, he was a vice president of HR for a very large Maine company for 30 years. And I asked him a question a few months back. He's retired. And I said, if you were to go back into the world of HR today, and he's been out of it for a while, what is something that you would absolutely make happen that maybe was not happening 20 years ago? And I loved what he said. And I get to share this all with you, which is so cool because I just love it. He said he would have 5 to 7 behavioral expectations built into every job description. And they would be the same 5 to 7 behavioral expectations across the entire company. So the CEO and the frontline employee or the laborer or the vice president of whatever, the owner, every single person would be held to these standards. And they're a little bit different than core values because, these are the daily behavioral expectations. And one of those might be commitment. A behavioral expectation might just be commitment. Well, what does commitment mean? Well, I would add a few little statements to it that says commitment means being on time, because I'm sure none of you ever experience anybody being late. Commitment might mean commitment to being a team player. Commitment might be committed to respecting the company property. And so there are 3 things right out of the gate that one word can, be used regarding your, the behavioral expectations. So, moving on to the second C is communication. Once you have made a hire, you gotta stay in touch. To me, this is so important. From the moment you say, Stacy, we'd like to hire you. And, communicate. It's so important. People are, participating in other interviews. They have other job offers on the table. We're interested. A client of mine is interested in making a hire of an HR manager for their business. And we can't interview her because I'm away all next week and they want me to be there. So we can't interview her until May 10th for a second interview, but we're very interested. Well, allow me to tell you, she knows we're very interested. And we dangled out the carrot because we really want to make sure she knows. And we already have a plan in place to keep connected to her. So communicate, communicate. The third C is culture. This is so unbelievably important. The Gallup Institute did a study on why people stay working where they do. And ironically, pay was number 3. So compensation was number 3. The number one reason people stay working where they do is because they love the culture. They really enjoy and appreciate the workplace culture that they work in. The second one was development. The business or company that they work for invests in their professional development. And that's really important. Even in a convenience store, to which I worked in a convenience store when I managed one for 5 years in my early younger years. Oh my goodness, the amount of professional development that I learned in the 5 years I was there is where I am today. It's because, I learned so much there. So, be mindful of making sure that our workplace culture is, fostered in a great way. When I hire someone new, I say, Stacy, you are going to love working for us. And let me just share a couple reasons why. We're very team oriented. We support each other here. We're really a company that really keeps drama out of the workplace. Because what I'm also doing is planting a seed with Stacy that drama doesn't work here. And so I'm giving the highlights and the high points of what our culture is, but we really need to make sure that that is what it is. We can't be just saying all these great things, but then having people come in and go like, well, that's not true. And that's where those check-ins with new employees help us to make sure that we're walking the talk. Because if I told Stacy, we're a company that does not, we don't tolerate drama, which makes our environment so much better. And then at the check-in, when I say, what could we be doing better? Stacy says, well, you mentioned this drama thing. Yeah, it's quite a bit already. That's a way of us doing that check to make sure that we are, doing what we say we're going to do. So workplace culture is really, really important. People leave managers, not cultures. And so it's important, again, to just remember that. The fourth C is clarity. Oh my goodness, this is like my absolute favorite C. Again, when I mentioned job descriptions, if you're not clear to these new employees what their duties and responsibilities are, how can you have expectations of them? So it's really important to have clarity. I need to know what's expected of me so that I can work towards performing that. And people are really, really good in the way of being able to make sure that happens. It also, it helps to, when we articulate the behaviors that we expect from people, then we can continue to remind them. When we talk about, where do I even go the first day that I show up? Like, who's gonna greet me? One of my clients said they failed on this big time. It's a warehouse, and they told the lady to park over on the side of the warehouse, and you'll see there's a small door over there. Just come in that door, and or that's the door that employees enter in. Okay, that was it. Employee came, parked, there was two sides, two doors, no idea which one, came in the door that she shouldn't have come in, and there was nobody there. It was dark. She was confused. She turned around, left. They lost the employee. Now, where's the, and after they called and said, well, the person never even showed up. Well, that wasn't true. We just didn't do a good job at being clear on where this is a new person who doesn't know. So we need to be really clear on where a person is supposed to come. I'm a firm believer in greeting. We had greeters, and yes, we did have a lot of employees in hotels and what have you, so we had the ability to do this. But it is really important that I am welcomed and greeted that first day on my job and made to feel welcome. And not put with someone who doesn't like working for us. Just be mindful that it's not always a good idea to put your new person with someone who maybe doesn't have the best attitude. That can be a little challenging. The last C is connection. Again, this is so unbelievably important. People need to feel connected. You got to remember, new people coming in to work for us they're very anxious. Even though they may have the skill to do the job, they don't know to what degree that skill is expected. They're going to be meeting new people. If I'm the new salesperson, Michael, that you've just brought on board, and I'm very confident in my sales skills, but you got to remember, I'm in a new environment. I'm going to be meeting new people. What if they ask me things that I don't know? Like, that anxiety gets there. And we want to minimize that anxiety with new people coming in as much as we can. It's really important. If you're a company that has a vision of where you're going, make the connection with that new employee right out of the gate. Our vision for our convenience store is in 2 years, we're adding on a pizza place, or we're adding something new, or we envision this to become this complex where it's a one-stop shopping kind of place, or what have you. And so, because this is great for people, I know, Marcy, did you read my business plan? Marcy, I have to tell you, I was the manager of a convenience store that added on 7 apartments and a restaurant. And so after the first year, so I already knew that that's something that happens. But had I known that vision in the beginning, I might have been able to get a little more prepared and excited for it. But anyway, the other thing with connection, that those the 30 and 60 day kind of mini reviews with new employees, it's a little bit more than a check-in. It's a little bit more, in 30 days, it may be that, the questions are more tailored around how are you feeling in the way of, your job duties. Are there areas that maybe, we could assist you more on, or are there areas that you're seeing within our business that are of great interest to you? Because people sometimes really want more and to take on more, but they don't know how to ask us. And so why not ask them, and it's okay if there isn't, but maybe what ideas, what thoughts. So that 30 to 60 day check-in is another way of connecting with our people, letting them know that their ideas, thoughts, and opinions really matter to us. It may be that they have a good idea about a new process, or it may be they may have a good idea on some sort of service that we could be providing that we didn't even think of, because they're new and coming in with fresh ideas. And then lastly, with that connection, something that we learned that was really valuable is we identified a couple of ambassadors in our company well, actually we had more than a couple because again, we had numerous hotels, but we identified these people as company ambassadors or liaison, either one. And that was really useful and beneficial for us as well, because sometimes it's not always easy for our new employee or, to talk to the owner, or, they're a little intimidated by that until they get to build that relationship. But, if you told me one of our housekeepers that had been with us for a lot of years, her name was Eleanor. We identified Eleanor right out of the gate as an ambassador because, the woman slept with a smile on her face and we just loved it. She was just like the most amazing woman, and she made everybody feel really comfortable and what have you. And she was just such a great problem solver. And so, and Eleanor was honored. She thought it was the greatest thing, that we would honor her at the yearly get together. We'd recognize our company ambassadors, and usually halfway through the season, we would send them a nice little a gift certificate for an experience. And so it might be a ride through the carriage trails, in one of the horse and carriage rides, or we would put together a little evening for them and their spouse out, which would be like dinner and a little show or something like that. But we always made sure, and we didn't pay them any different because we didn't want it to be a pay related thing, but we just gave them extra little things here and there because we greatly appreciated everything that they would offer us, in the way of being an ambassador. I know I've given you a lot, when I think about these 5 C's, but what I would suggest to you or might offer that could be useful and helpful. And again, I'll send the 2 handouts. One is on the 5, it's the 5 C's, but the other one was really just some questions that we would ask ourselves. Like one of them is how to give a first good impression of the company. So I would suggest to you that when you get that, maybe sit down for just 10 minutes. Each one of you have different businesses. You're in different locations. Your cultures are a bit different. The setup, your businesses or what have you, but maybe take these handouts and just write down what pertains to you. Like when it comes to compliance, it might be that job application, an I-9, you might decide that you're going to have a packet put together, organized in a file folder so that anytime there's a new hire, you have that, you're already ready for them. It's got a little welcome to, the, Mike's Country Store, and that's a store in my area. So that's why I can say that, and it may be that, we're delighted to have you join us or what have you. Maybe it's got a business card in it, but it would at least have that new hire paperwork all organized and ready. Nobody has to go find it. Nobody has to put it all together. You're ready for it. So, and then communication. What are the things that you want to make sure is communicated to every new employee that comes into work for you? What's important to you, and not just what's important to you, but what do they need to know? And then again, with culture, what's important to you as the business owner, that your, company culture is. And Amanda, last week we talked about, you getting together at a table with, some pizza and really asking your people on a nice whiteboard, just get a white notepad or something to write on and capture these people's thoughts and ideas. I would suggest that you might do that around culture. Let your people tell you what your culture is. Maybe they have a different perspective than you. You're the owner.
We have that scheduled for next week, so I'm super excited about that. We took so many great ideas from last week. Kirsten and I sat down and went through everything. And so we scheduled that. We wanted enough notice, but we said that is top on our priority. So I'm really anxious to see where that leads us, because really for us, you're talking about these things, and we do a lot of that. We have there's a lot to childcare, which people think there's not, there really is. We have a handbook that is 65 pages long for new employees and all the paperwork. So, we want to get some new ones in the door, and then this onboarding thing. I think the checking in is really important. And I love, typically we wait for that 30 days. So that is an area that we definitely need to improve on. And I like the 5 C's because, especially, like sending a note between that 2 weeks so we don't lose them, because that happens
Yes,
a lot.
it does.
And I love being clear on, the expectations. I think just asking, being on time, those are all things that team player, respecting the property.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to put that in there,
Sure.
but those are all things that are really important to me that I want them doing.
Of course, of course. And I believe in my experience, Amanda, that everyone we've ever hired wants to succeed. Everyone we've ever hired wants to come and do a good job. And so if we can make sure that we have our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and we're providing them with a great experience, even those that tend to follow in the more negative mindset or range, they really see what a well-organized, simple, but with expectations. And then when we hold them accountable and we praise them for the things they're doing well, and we redirect them on the things they're not doing so well, 98% of the time we do pretty well. We do pretty well. When you've got to hire 500 people, you work hard at getting good. And when I say we, I'm talking the team. Terri Swanson did not in any way, shape, or form do any of this on her own. I was just blessed to be part of the team. Rely on your people. They're so amazing. People have got the greatest ideas and the greatest solutions, but guess what? We're the owners, so we don't think to ask because we're expected to know everything. Well, that's a misconception because we don't. Yeah.
I love the redirect.
Oh.
That's what we do with our kids. We praise the positive and redirect the negative. So
adults like it too.
They need to do it with
Yes.
the adults too.
Yes. And it feels so much more or less conflicted when I say, Amanda, I absolutely am so grateful that you come to work every day on time. Like that means so much to me. Something I would like to give you a little feedback on that I would just like to redirect you is our lunches are only 30 minutes. And occasionally I notice, yours might, be 40. And I would say it with a smile, I just want to redirect you, let's get back to that 30 minutes because it really means a lot to the team. And we really, truly, the children need us to be ready and prepared. That's a redirect. It works. Yeah. How about some other questions? Is what we've shared today, is this useful? Is it helpful? And don't be shy.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself. I did notice a little late and I didn't mention it, but the intern that is transitioning to an employee, all of it is remote. And
Okay.
it's as like a personal assistant. So it's not client facing. So I'm curious how that would translate.
Yeah. And so, and that is such a great question. And thank you for bringing it up because today's world, there's a lot of remote working. And what do you do around, how do you onboard someone through Zoom? How do you do that? And so honestly, it's real. And second, you can really start to have some fun. When I think of these 5 C's, every one of them still are relevant, whether it's via Zoom or not. But what I might suggest is you find a maybe just an inspiring video. It can be 3 to 5 minutes or what have you, and you could send that to this new employee, and you can say, just wanted to share this, video with you because we're just so excited to have you joining us. And there's so many videos on YouTube and what have you that we could share. And you might even do a little recorded, "Hey, Kelsey, it's Terri. We're so excited to have you joining our team. We can't wait for you to start, and we're already getting your desk prepared. And maybe I might send you a little video. Could be a FaceTime, video or what have you. Certainly keep it professional, keep it, at a minimal. But there's a lot of great things that are happening today on Zoom, and as much as we don't all love it, thank God for it. But I would just say that, continue to do those check-ins. We can still have a cup of coffee, even though you started on Monday. Maybe I'm going to have a cup of coffee with you on Wednesday instead of Friday, because, out of sight, out of mind. And we need to be mindful of that, is that if we're working remote, the team we're working with is more, we're not connected personally. So I'm a firm believer in out of sight, out of mind. So I try to keep things that are really important to me in sight. I mean, we keep pictures of our loved ones around us for a reason, So I just think it's important. There are a lot of great things happening in the Zoom world and the remote world that's important. And I also think just sending, a couple of, all the more reason to send a handwritten things to someone at home who's working remote, because it really brightens their day. There's some fun cards that you can get online, and you can send someone a card electronically if you, chose to. Yeah.
I love that. We're getting lots of thank yous. Some are public in the chat. Some of them are just sent to me, but
Sure.
well done all around.
Yeah.
And some
Michael,
people,
no,
I was just going to say,
ahead.
some people are asking about the last session. So I'll include the link to the recording of last week's recruiting seminar, excuse me, in my follow-up email. So if you missed last week, you can go back and review that as well. It's a very similar dynamic. So it's you'll learn all about Amanda's ongoing issues. So thank you for sharing. Thank you everyone for, opening up and letting us join in and support you through the struggles. We know that owning a small business is not always as much fun as you think it's going to be when you first get the idea. So we're here to help however we can along the way.
Yeah, and thank you, Kelsey. I wanted to ask Michael, did we answer your, did you get some answers to your question?
I did. This was a great overview for me, and I think it makes me feel more confident that I had a lot of the boxes checked already, which is comforting.
Nice.
Thank you.
No, I really appreciate you saying, the checking the boxes, because it's important. First of all, checking the boxes is important because it helps us to stay organized and consistent in the work that we're doing. But in the same sense, when we, sometimes use the word check the box, that can have we never want to just check the box. We want to know that in checking that box, we feel really good about it. So I appreciate that you have organized process that you use in doing this.
I'm glad it sounds organized.
Yes, it does. I know. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Easy. Yeah, your roles and duties and responsibilities are not easy. People only see what they see, they think is the glory of owning a business, but the behind the scenes work and the sleepless nights and but just remember, don't take everything on yourself because you think that you're the owner. You have to. It's one thing we've experienced is your people even if it's only 2 people, and even if it's only 1 person, or it's only 4 people, people want to be part of it. It's just that we have a tendency to not ask because, maybe we don't want to know what they have to say. Well, you know what they have to say is often very important and can make a big change and a big difference. And then if it's something that we didn't want to hear, then we have 2 ears, and when it goes in, it comes out. So, use what's useful for you.
Yeah, I liked what you said last week, where people like to be asked for help, or we like to help.
Yeah.
The Maine SBD, our whole thing is that we love to help. That's like why we're here. So asking for help is not easy, professionally, privately, personally, all across the board. So we, as the business advisors, try really hard to provide a safe, encouraging environment that while you may not love everything that we have to say, it comes from a good place, and we're trying to help protect you from something in the future as well. So we can be a good sounding board for these types of things if you're not really ready to go out and have this conversation with a lot of people. Like I said, everything is confidential, and we are happy to help. Terri will have several more sessions coming up. I'm so thank you, Amanda, for asking. We actually wanted to turn that back to the audience and ask, what would you like to learn from Terri? So we have 2 more sessions with her coming up this summer, and we would love to hear what you think would be the most helpful to hear from her. I already told her she's the expert, and she said that you guys are the experts. So
because you all know what you need. I mean, we can talk about various different subjects, and I don't think there's any that's not important and relevant in the world of HR and what you all do. But reality is, we're here to serve you. You matter to us, and you're important. And we want to make sure that whatever areas, you could benefit for, having more information or these types of, sessions, we want to bring you what you need, what's useful, what's helpful. We certainly don't just want to bring a topic just because. And yeah, and even if you don't come up with something today that you put in the chat, I think Kelsey, would it be safe to say that sending Kelsey an email tomorrow or Monday, we were thinking maybe we would do a session towards the end of, one in May and then one in June, because we also recognize that you all, July, August is a very, very busy month. And so, yeah, it's not always easy to do that. So we're open to whatever topics. And again, thank you for putting them in here. Team building and employee retention. Okay, the employee retention is the other side of the piece of bread, the sandwich that I told you about. So it's recruiting, onboarding, and retaining. And so, I love the retention topic. That's a great one.
yeah, it would be safe to say that you could respond to any email that you ever get from me and say, hey, I want Terri to talk about this. And I would eventually figure I could make the connection eventually. So yes, feel free to reach out at any point to any of my follow-up emails. There is a survey that is in the follow-up email that goes out that we would love to hear from you all around. But that is, I believe that one of the questions in that form that goes out after every webinar is, what further topics would you like to hear about? So that is a platform for you to submit it. I believe those are anonymous. But it sounds like a lot of people are asking about best practices with remote managing of employees. So that's a common thing that's coming up. Yeah. So we'll make a little list and we'll keep you all in mind. Definitely check back to our website. We're constantly providing new webinars. We try and offer at least one a week. Most weeks have 2. The summer will slow down just a little bit because so many businesses in Maine are seasonal. We understand that this is a very busy time of year, so we try and be respectful of everyone's time. But definitely keep an eye on our events coming up. Hopefully we'll have Terri back.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I love doing this. Yep.
Great. We love when you do this as well. So thank you, Terri. Thank you to everyone for coming. We're right at time. And so we know everyone is very busy, and I'm sure you have plenty to do with the rest of your day. If for some reason your day is wide open and you hate networking, we have an event for you at noon, networking for everyone who hates it. So we have Maine SBDC at AvCog Business Advisor and Center Director, Lori Allen, and she's going to be going through networking techniques for people who don't like talking to other people. So we will hopefully see some of you at noon. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you towards the end of May.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate you.